Ruselli Northern supports upstate New York construction with over 400 employees, 250 trucks, 9 ready-mix plants, 4 blacktop plants, and 40 aggregate mines. But their most important number is your bottom line. Contact them today to see why Ruselli Northern has been the choice for contractors and project managers across upstate New York since 1929.
All right, everybody, welcome into Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. Russo here, Nick Felice with me as well as always. Nick looking very dapper today. Nice little golf vibe going on. I like it. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I dressed up for work today, and my mom laid out my clothes for me.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, happy that it's August and it's almost fall, which.
Yeah.
I can say is my favorite season.
Yeah, you're weird like that. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We got next week off, and then the week after we're back, and that will probably be pretty much the start of our football stuff at that point. Kind of crazy to think about.
No week 0 anymore. Week 0. Still a thing, but they don't call it.
Yeah, it's whatever. I don't know.
It's like extended week 1 now,
yeah.
Right? Isn't that what it is?
Something stupid.
Yeah.
So why not just call it week 1? And then week 2 is either way. We're down a rabbit hole at that point. But
nice hat.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You just get that? Your brother buy that?
Pretty much, yeah. I wanted the Philly batting practice one. They didn't have any, apparently.
What is that?
But I love a nice dad hat. It's a Philly. It's one of the old school Philly logos on a patch. The hat's like a nice corduroy type blend. I love it.
Yeah, it's old school.
I like a solid dad hat. I think I'm entering my dad hat phase.
I mean, that franchise has lost 23 games in a row at one point.
That's true. Factually correct. Nice lead in there because that is one of our topics later on. But first, before we get to baseball, the Olympics were kind of crazy to say this part out loud, but we're into the home stretch of the Olympics as it stands right now. USA's medal count is normally, and it's tough this time around because. If you go by that standings, you notice, right, and if you're really kind of hardcore in, obviously with the sanctions going on with Russia right now and everything still, those athletes are unable to compete for Russia. They either are competing for another country or as an unaffiliated kind
Usually our competitor.
of deal. And because of that, the U.S. has a pretty good gap in the medal count right now. I think when I checked last night, it was like 89, and then the next closest was or 86, and the next closest was like 59 or something. It's not really all that close.
It's China.
Yeah, and in that sense, it's pretty well probably tied up in that grand scope. But
When's the last time they lost a medal count?
That's a good
in
question.
The summer.
It's a really good question. We'd have to look that up.
Winter, they don't always win.
No. But I want to start, I guess, with the individual sports first, before we kind of really get to, I guess, the last main newsworthy headline that has yet to fully happen yet, which is basketball. But, in our lifetimes, Nick, I think we're pretty lucky. We've lived through, obviously, Michael Phelps. If you want to look also in the non-American scope, right, Usain Bolt. And what this Olympic has really kind of seen, and it's kind of crazy because I know a lot of the talk has been, I'd say, mostly on Simone Biles. Kayla Ledecky's also gone out here and really had herself another Olympiad. It's kind of crazy to watch how it's all played out. I do want to, before I stray too far away, I do want to make note. I called my watching abilities exactly how I figured. It's been really tough. I remember... I got really excited for the doubles tennis semifinal.
Yeah.
Between the two Americans, which I had never heard of before, and they were going up against Spain, which was Nadal and Alcaraz. I'm like, holy crap! The Americans were in my view, I thought they were upsetting Nadal and Alcaraz, but apparently it wasn't as big of an upset as I thought. And I thought I was watching it in real time, and I was 2 hours late to the party. It was one of the delayed viewings, and I was just like, even then though it was like 5:30 here, so it's like it's very feasible that they were playing at 10:30 still, but apparently they weren't.
Yeah.
But either way, I was kind of spot on with that. I've watched very little basketball even to this point in the grand scheme of it, but we'll get to that, I guess, more in a second. But back to the main topic here off the bat, Ledecky and Biles kind of really headlining, I'd say, the American Olympic stuff here through the first week and a half. Now, I guess, really, to be fair, 2 weeks of competition.
Yeah, and I would also throw in Noah Lyles in there. Getting
Yeah.
the 100-meter win. Was the 200 last night?
I'd have to check.
Yeah, I can't remember. I never did see if he won that or not, but it was like crazy stat. There's only been like 8 or 9 people that have won the 100 and 200 in the same Olympics. And the only person to ever do it twice was Usain Bolt, who did it 3 times, who is one of the greatest runners, the sprint runners of all time. You know, obviously in athletics.
So the 200 finals tomorrow at 2:30.
Okay.
Yep.
I was going to say. So he's trying to join that group that's won both of them, the 100 and the 200, in the same Olympics.
He did qualify, can confirm.
Yeah, I figured he would.
Came in second in his semifinal.
Oh, wow.
But
This is supposed to be his better event, too.
so he lost his semifinal by 12/10 of a second. So that's pretty tight, in all things considered.
And the 100-meter was as crazy as it's
Right.
ever been. You know, him winning by, I think it was .0005.
Yeah.
And it could have been a bunch of people pulling out by a nose.
I mean, like one of the closest finishes of any race of any kind, period. And
Close to that NASCAR race this year?
well,
How close was that one?
that one was .000 something technically.
Like as close as you can get.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but pretty remarkable stuff. You know, it was tough for you. Like I remember Tyson Gay was a sprint runner,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
but he lived in the Usain Bolt era,
Correct.
and he could never
Right.
he was the best sprint runner in the United States at the time,
Yeah.
but he just bad era. He
Right.
couldn't win a gold medal.
Yeah.
So for Noah Lyles to win this gold medal is pretty special for the country. And hopefully he can bring home the 200 tomorrow. Obviously, track and field, we usually pretty dominate. I mean, it's mostly a American-led sport.
Not the endurance stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Well, I mean, it's usually like those African countries. They usually
I'll say
they dominate.
the
that.
guy from Botswana was the guy who beat Lyles in his semifinal today.
Really,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting to see. You know, swimming, Katie Ledecky started off a little slow. I remember watching her first event 2 Saturdays ago now.
Yeah, that prelim was rough.
Yeah. But no, I mean, we're just dominating all around. I mean, you got to throw like Scotty Scheffler in there. He did a pretty well
Came
job.
back.
Yeah. I thought Schauffele might keep it going with the red hot streak he's been on.
We had a bit of a classic for the golfer fans out there, a bit of a classic Tommy Fleetwood moment within that final round. I'm sorry, I like Fleetwood, but man,
He's a good guy.
yeah.
Surfing, you've been checking that out in
No.
Tahiti?
The only thing I know about surfing going on right now is that Colin Jost got hurt somehow.
Really?
And
I saw he's out there.
and the mascot was out on a jet ski.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, it's cool to win a gold medal. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but it's a little deflating. It's all the way in Tahiti.
It's just, yeah,
It's just like doesn't the French own that?
correct. That's
yeah.
why it's there. But that goes back to something I was talking about with like the viewing experience portion, where it's like, my God, like it's just everywhere. Like
I watched Gold Zone on the first day. Haven't watched it since.
Scott Hansen, shout out.
Yeah, he's still the best. But
That's the Siciliano guy.
I also work during the day. You know.
That's my main thing with it, right? Is the fact that like by the time I get home, and I mentioned it with that tennis double semi, where it's like, I thought I was watching it live at 5:30, and I wasn't, and I was like, damn, like, I don't know, it's tough. It's a lot like, in a way like the Australian Open for tennis in some regards, where it's like I'm not waking up early / hanging out late, depending upon like what the deal is. Like I gotta work, I gotta do whatever. I think it might change a little bit. It depends, I think, how basketball fully shakes out here. But
There'll be some good games tomorrow, basketball wise.
yeah,
USA basketball plays this afternoon. I think probably an hour, 3:30. I think it is.
give or take.
The U.S. women's soccer team is kind of like they've
Yeah.
escaped by these matches, and I believe they're in the gold medal match now. Men's got crushed by Morocco in the quarters. Morocco is now they lost a tough one in the semis to Spain. So then, of course, we got volleyball. I know I was in Buffalo this past weekend. There's some guy at the bar who said this number one player for the men's volleyball team is from Hamburg. So representing Western New York.
Yeah, shout out.
I believe they're still in it, the volleyball team.
Yeah. Yeah, they also begin their semifinals. I think I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but something like
One
that.
sport. I don't get why it's not more popular in this. Is there even
Well, I mean, the tough part is, and like, it's not like I'm going to sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm the expert in this," but because of college, I've become friends with more or less volleyball players, right? And they've said, that they're, God, the phrasing on this is awful, but they're women, but they play co-ed now, and they say like the men's game is a very distinctly different game than the women's, like. More or less, it's a think of it like with the way the WNBA is to the NBA. It's kind of like that. It's just like flip though,
yeah.
where it's like the women's game is like, obviously as we know, very like succinct. It's intense. It's not to say that the men's game isn't intense for volleyball, but it's a lot more. You see maybe a hair more unforced error type things, and it's a lot more fundamentally sound, quote unquote.
Yeah. Is there a volleyball league? Like the National Volleyball League?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I know there's collegiate men's volleyball.
Gotta be. I mean,
Locally, there's boys high school volleyball.
yeah, I'm familiar with that, but it's gotta be a league. I mean, where do these guys, they gotta be playing competitive sports somewhere
Right.
to get ready for the Olympics. It's probably not just Team USA, but it's also the same with like USA softball. It's like, is there a softball league?
Oh, there's a softball league, yeah. Yeah, they got the P whatever it is, yeah.
Nice. But yeah, been enjoying it. USA, I think the basketball team, I think their toughest challenge is going to be Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, they've come out and surprised. Well, I wouldn't say surprised. A lot of people did have Germany pegged, but they went out
Gave
there.
them a good one in the good game in the exhibition.
I mean, they whooped France pretty good. I mean, it'll be interesting. One thing before basketball, I want to note, Steve, the gymnast guy. Shout out to Steve.
Yeah.
Forget his last name, but I wouldn't be able to pronounce it right anyway. But
That sport's not easy, man.
it's crazy. It really is crazy, isn't it?
I don't know how they do those flips. Jump on those bars.
Well, I mean, it's crazy. Look at Simone Biles, for example, right? She just goes out here and has arguably one of the best Olympics individually anybody's really ever had, and in her final event, stumbles and falls off the bar, the balance beam. I mean, hey, you've seen me. I trip over the line on the basketball court, so.
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Haven't been into it like I thought it was going to be. First day I was locked in.
Yeah.
Haven't been so much this last week, but mostly because of work and, being out of town, stuff like that.
Yeah, let's get to that basketball stuff here. Say the women is going about as on par as we kind of figured it would. It's tough. I think, the women's game, again, globally it's catching up, but it's a lot like, I think, you look at various parts of, like, when it comes to just the pro level stuff, and I mean, it's just still a very, everybody's still a few paces behind the U.S. team. So I wouldn't say there's a ton to exactly worry about necessarily in my mind. The men's is the interesting where I still think the men's team will win gold, but again, some of these things that we talked about in these exhibition games have crept up a little bit. Now there hasn't been too much of real sweaty, quote unquote, sweat issue in terms of like nervousness for this team so far. But now we're getting the semifinal. Not to make it sound like it's a lose or go home, right? But the stakes are just that much more amped up now.
Well, in 2004, they lost in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Germany frightens me. They really do. After what they did to France,
Now they got to play France again tomorrow.
And should that matchup obviously come back up and rise, Schroeder. It'll be interesting to see how everything kind of breaks out, right? But Schroeder's not afraid to guard anybody on that U.S. team.
No,
he really is. I mean, he has one of the better He has one of the better defensive numbers against guys like against Steph Curry in the NBA. So it's like, gosh, I don't know. I'm frightened.
There's only one ball.
Yeah, I'm frightened for that element of it.
That would be entertaining, though.
Yeah.
If we got Germany, USA for the gold medal, and that's a lot on the line.
Which wouldn't have been my matchup prediction. I don't think. I'm pretty sure I leaned U.S. and France. So.
What happened to Spain?
Gosh, I just think it's a combination of they had some really young guys and some really old guys, and they're kind of caught in the middle of a transition time this Olympic. It will be different for them in 28 in a big way, but yeah, I mean, really the one you talk about, like what happened to them, man, Australia had it for themselves, and
I know.
They choked. Serbia, man.
I mean, do not sleep on that Serbia team tomorrow. I mean, if Jokic has one of those, I mean, I watched the first Serbia USA game. You got to keep Jokic out there the whole game.
I mean, yeah.
When he went out, the team fell apart.
All right.
I don't care. Jokic has to play this whole game if you want to beat this.
Well, it's kind of like some of the stuff we see with like the Nuggets in a weird way, where it's just like you know that you can't obviously play the guy the whole time, but like when you do, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like we're making Anthony Davis look competent out there,
And Anthony Davis cannot guard Jokic.
No,
he just can't. I watched that game, and that was the game I think Embiid didn't play. Might have been the game. No, that was the game he played. I think that was the game Tatum didn't play. Yeah, what do you thought of these guys?
Hold on, I don't mean to interrupt. I have some quasi-breaking basketball news. Remember Charles Barkley when he was making fun of Galveston in the dirty water?
Kinda, yeah.
Well, Galveston health officials caution beachgoers. Apparently there's a flesh-eating bacteria being found in the waters of Galveston.
Wow.
I'm just going to say it. Charles Barkley was right.
He's always right.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
He's not retiring, though.
I'm happy for that.
He's staying with TNT. What does that mean? They're not having basketball.
So they'll still have some golf stuff.
All right.
They'll have the NHL stuff. They're getting NASCAR back for a handful of races a year.
After this,
TNT still, I mean, they got college basketball stuff still technically through the CBS and Turner agreement. I mean, also he would be forfeiting like $200 million. So
that's right. NASCAR is coming back to TNT. Yeah. When's that happening? Next year?
Next year.
I like that. It was a Saturday night game. Saturday night races used to be
a lot of them, yeah.
TNT. Yeah. Interesting. But
Ernie. Look at this Kyle Larson guy right here, just ripping the high line. And then you have this idiot Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He must be from San Antonio.
He is what you call an icon.
Yes.
Yeah, he is an icon.
Back to international basketball.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, we have breaking.
The balls have colors. They're very colorful balls.
How do you like the FIBA 3v3 ball?
You can goaltend.
Well, not. Yeah.
You physically can't. I mean, you can't just hang up on the rim.
You brought up Davis, though. I want to circle back to that because, like, again, this goes back to something we talked about on here anyway, and a lot of people else talk about. It's not like Embiid can guard Jokic either.
No.
I mean, the only person, and again, going to sound homerish here, but like the only person I trust to guard Jokic is like Bam. And that's because Bam's just that good enough of a defender that I think he can at least kind of tame him a little bit.
You do come off as a homer.
I don't mind that. I need respect for Bam. Bamante.
Why does he not start?
Steve Kerr's an idiot, Ernie.
That he is, leaving the New York Knicks captain off the team.
I mean, that wasn't his choice.
The Brunson didn't make the team, or that he was a captain.
Both.
It's true. It wasn't his choice. Lance
Is that,
Thomas.
is that announcement tomorrow? I'm confused. Or that was the announcement yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
Ah.
Lance Thomas was the last captain.
Wait, what?
Did you know that? They've
Okay.
had 36 captains.
I don't mean now to completely derail this Olympic talk, but Lance Thomas was the captain of the New York Knicks?
I didn't even know. That's what it says.
That'd be like the Yankees, like, I guess, like, it would be 10 years ago now. You're like, hey, Chase Headley, you're the new captain of the team. Congratulations.
Yeah, he was the last one.
Oh, gosh, that is wild.
There's 36 total captains. He was one. Melo was the one before that, I think.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's an honor, but is it really a privilege?
I don't know. Like, leadership mellow? I don't see it. I don't see
Is that
it.
worse than Lance Thomas?
Yeah, actually. I feel like it is. In a weird way. Anyway, back to the Olympics, I guess, here. Olympic basketball. So, I think it's weird. I think pipe dream wise, I'd rather face France in the gold medal game, but
I want to see that matchup.
I just don't think it's going to happen. That's the issue I have. Now, hey, look, I don't know. I mean, maybe France is able to kind of double down and refigure out what to do with Germany, but
Yeah, gosh.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
France has that size I think could match up with the United States. I would like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Guard wise, even though Fournier's going off.
France has had a really weird one. Like, they had to go to overtime on a questionable call to get to overtime against Japan, who had them beat the second half of the game. Like, I don't know what to expect with this France team. And maybe they're kind of doing a weird thing of like they'll play when it matters most. Like maybe kind of like Spurs-ish in a way, but like I don't know. I don't know if they got it.
No, I mean Frank Ntilikina is a good player. He might have been a New York Knicks captain as well.
I thought you were going to say Nicholas Batum.
Yeah, he's good too. But I think Germany is going to be the better game. But I would love to see that matchup, France versus United States. I just think guard-wise, they would crush France. Now, they don't have much guard-wise. But I don't know. Looking forward to the last weekend here. I think it should be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we can get a sweep of the basketball after the 3v3 didn't go well.
That was bad.
Before we move on to the baseball stuff, we'll end it with 3v3. Like, I don't know the rules exactly for how you pick players, but like, the 3v3 strikes me as like that's the place where you should have your college players playing.
Yeah.
Just because of it's like fast paced and like, I just feel like college kids would do so much better in that than, not to disparage these guys, but Canyon Barry, who like, he's like the fourth Barry brother I didn't know existed, and again, not to disparage him, but like old man at this point, old man Jimmer Fredette. Like I don't know what the hell. He's gotta be 30. He's at least gotta be 35.
It's Kawhi's age, I think.
Yeah, he's gotta be pushing 34, 35. Yeah.
Well, I think that Brink girl was supposed to be on the 3-on-3 team before she tore her ACL.
For the women, yeah.
Yeah, for the women.
It's a little bit different. The women have the right idea,
Yeah.
but I don't know. All right, let's get to some baseball stuff here. Let's start just before we get to the White Sox stuff, which is what we really kind of want to talk about for all the right and wrong reasons. Post-trade deadline, the Pirates were buyers. Nice little phrase to say. I know it wasn't maybe the full-fledged shopping that maybe you as a fan wanted exactly, or even maybe what we general baseball fans kind of classify as general buyers being, but definitely went out and improved what they needed to do, especially obviously on the offensive end of things. It's one of those things where it's the NL confused me a little bit more than the AL. And not so much, I'd say, from like the Pirates' perspective, obviously, But like the Cubs, for example, did a really weird buy and sell thing. Like,
Same with the Giants.
yeah, like I don't know what was fully the logic there, but the fact of the matter is, you saw a team like the Pirates, who were used to seeing kind of be sellers more or less, be still well within fighting distance of a wild card spot, and they took advantage of it, in my mind, by buying. And look, you can say what you want about these new rules and the expanded playoff and stuff like that, but to me, having more teams be willing to go for it's a pretty big positive enough for me anyway. I know you probably at least agree in principle on that idea, so it was pretty good to see like a team like the Pirates, like I say, kind of take the leap, go out, get a couple guys who maybe, like I said, maybe not the big splash guys, obviously, Brian De La Cruz as their counter Falefa, but nonetheless, kind of go out, you get some improvement on spots you needed to improve on, and you aren't really kind of indebting yourself for the future either with getting those guys.
No, I like the moves a little bit. Wins haven't really been panning out so far. I think they're a couple games under since they got them.
Yeah.
It's been a week, but yeah.
I'll do be that way.
Hopefully they don't fade, because I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Before in 2013, we finally broke through.
Right.
We bought. We
Okay.
bought in
I was
2011.
about to say 2012 is the one that stuck out to me. But
2011
yeah.
and 2012, we both bought those
Yeah.
years. 2011, we bought Derek Lee and Ryan Ludwig. And when we got those guys, I went to Virginia Beach with the family for vacation. And the Pirates lost every single game that whole week I was there, and they were out of it. That was also the year they lost that game against the Braves in 1980, and Michael McHenry laid the tag, and the season fell apart after that game. It felt like
I wouldn't say he laid the tag, but
that's what they called.
no, I know what. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm kind of getting at there.
Yeah. So they bought. The point is they bought in those seasons as well. Could this be one of those years where they bought, but they're just not ready to make that step towards the playoffs yet? Possibility. The wild card's getting tough now. The Padres just do not lose. You're almost giving them a playoff spot right now because of how well they've been playing and how much they bought as well. They also bought one of our players as well, Martin Perez as well. So they're going out and trying to win a championship this year, and I can respect that. But there's three wild card spots. It's gonna come down to like the Mets and the Braves. Are the Braves healthy enough to get a playoff spot? Are the Mets actually good enough to get a playoff spot? Those are the two teams I'm looking at. And then there's Arizona. Are they as good as we thought they were last year?
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
I mean, Arizona, I think, is beating Cleveland right now, but it's kind of weird because the NL is just so tight in my mind that, yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, but it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, I view the Mets as a playoff team. I don't maybe necessarily see them as being a division winner in the sense I could see maybe Atlanta being a division winner, but which is kind of crazy because I think they're only separated by 2.5 or 3 games, something like that. So,
Mets and Braves,
something like that.
They were tied yesterday.
I was about to say, I thought they were pretty tight, but
Braves have fallen a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because you hear, I know Snicker blamed the injury, and I'm like, well, yes and no.
But when you lose your star pitch and your star hitter, that's kind of tough to come back from.
Who's their star pitcher? Atlanta.
Strider.
I don't want to be that guy, but if you want to look at his numbers from the All-Star break last year to the start of this year, he wasn't their star pitcher. He fell off a table pretty hard last year. Not literally, but
Acuna.
Different, obviously, yeah, obvious, but to me, I look at the Braves and not to do. I think I more can give pushback to this, but the guys that were there last year aren't performing this year though.
No.
Matt Olson's had a bad year. Sean
Riley.
Murphy's had a bad year. Austin Riley's had a bad year. Adam Duvall's had a bad year. I don't want to be that guy because I don't think they're in the position now they are without him in a weird way, but it makes you kind of wonder about the whole entire, you traded Vaughn Grissom for Chris Sale? Okay. And I'm not saying Vaughn Grissom would answer some issues here. He's been hurt pretty much all year too, but, you kind of do have to wonder a little bit, sliding door moment. I don't know. I've had this problem with Atlanta now the past couple of years. To me, their pitching is always the thing that I worry about because they do this weird thing where, Bryce Elder's up all year last year, and now he's like a taxi guy for them.
He got crushed yesterday.
Yeah, and and to me, at that point, you can't go blame injuries when, I guess maybe you kind of could in this sense, but my point being, you can't be treating these guys like that and expect them to go out and perform every time because you're just going to leave them out on the limb anyway. I don't know. The Mets are a little bit different because they've been red hot since the end of May, and they've been playing some pretty good baseball.
So you just put down the Braves pretty hard right there.
Yeah.
Why do you think they are a chance at the division other than not the Mets?
Well, the Phillies have also been sliding. I think it's just recency bias more than anything else. I don't know. I still think the Phillies get that division, no problem. But
where's your Reds? They were supposed to win the division.
Yeah, I mean the NL Central to me is still pretty wide open in the grand scheme of it.
I think it get closer. It's been around 5, 6, 7 games for a while, but
I mean the beauty for Milwaukee is the fact that you're just kind of doing what you got to do and you're not worrying too much about it.
they're just not.
They're one of the teams. They're one of the teams that stayed relative. I mean, everybody did make a trade. I don't like it sound like they didn't make a trade. But they were pretty idle at the deadline, all things considered, and it kind of came back to actually bite them almost immediately with the Yelich injury.
Savali.
Correct. That's what I mean. They only got Aaron Savali. There are other guys clearly for the taking that they could have done. So I don't know.
And they're not they're fans and that team, even though got a new manager this year.
Well, Pat Murphy's been on that staff for a while.
Yeah, but they are looking at not fighting with the NL Central. They want to fight with these other teams and the top dogs in the National League.
They kind of strike me as a lot like the Mets, where I don't think they expected to be where they were necessarily this year. I think they were kind of expecting this year, what's happening this year, to be occurring next year.
I mean,
in that sense,
like you mentioned, Brewers not doing anything. Well, who's to argue that they're not going to be a wild card exit or a division round exit again? Fall short of the World Series again.
Yeah.
Why doesn't the Brewers want to win?
Right, but that also goes back to the fact that they trade away Corbin Burns, and I get it. You probably weren't going to be able to retain him at the end of this year, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's why to me, the Cubs thing was just so confusing. They go out and buy and sell. I don't know what the full end game is there in that sense, right? I mean, but the Cubs have kind of done this now the past couple of years where it's what is your plan in a way? Do I think David Ross was the best manager in the world? No, but it's very apparent that I don't think he was the issue going on there. I don't know. That's whatever. I mean, the AL's, I think, fairly straightforward at this point. Maybe positionally speaking, it's not, but it's I think we know it's the Yankees and Baltimore. Maybe the Red Sox when it's all said and done a little bit. For sure, Cleveland. Maybe Kansas City, maybe Minnesota, depending upon what fully shakes there. The West, don't mean to disparage teams here, fans. Sorry in advance to some friends of ours and brothers of ours who are fans of teams in that division, but nobody frightens me from that division at this point. So
here's a team that might frighten you: the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, let's get to baseball being on the wrong side of history here. They came close. Let's put it this way: they did make history. They're tied for the second worst losing streak of all time now, with the '88 Orioles. Congrats, White Sox fans! You don't have to live through that anymore because of last night. They beat the A's, but they have been just bad all year. historically bad. And I sat in this chair in March and said into this microphone that would be the Colorado Rockies, and not even a question, would be the worst team in baseball this year.
Yeah.
And was I wrong?
Not by much. Well, I mean,
Nick,
they're like
Baltimore,
by standings wise.
Nick,
I mean, by like they're the second worst team probably.
Oakland's the second worst team.
Oh, yeah.
And even then, Oakland is up by, I think, 13 games if you were to do a standings of it on the Chicago White Sox. No other team. There are 29 teams in baseball that have more than 40 wins. The White Sox don't even have 30.
You realize if they only win 3 more games on the season, they'd be 100 games under 500.
Yeah. They're under 500 since Pedro Grifoyle took over at the beginning of last year. I think they're 89 and 189 now or
You know
something
what's
like
crazy
that.
about that losing streak?
Yeah.
The last time they won was a doubleheader where they experienced a loss on that same day.
Yep.
And I think it was like 4 or 5 more losses before that. So last night was the first time the White Sox had enjoyed just winning.
Say winning day.
Winning day in like over a month.
That is diabolical.
And you had the All-Star break in there as well.
And like, I remember this was more, we didn't have the podcast period. We weren't doing it yet when the Browns were just ridiculously bad. And the whole question was always like, oh, but Alabama could be. I'm like, we all knew yeah, Alabama's good. But, like, those are professional athletes out there. Like, Alabama would not have a chance. There's some about baseball makes it a little bit different, and I know, like, the case would be like the White Sox would completely destroy any team that wouldn't be MLB. But like, I feel like if you were to give like a AAA team a 4-game series against the White Sox, they would win 1 game.
That's because
Like, the White Sox are putridly bad.
well, AAA. I mean, their team is a AAA team.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's not saying much. A AAA team could definitely beat them in a 7-game series.
Right.
You're going like LSU baseball. No, they're not going to beat them.
Maybe with Paul Skeens.
Maybe with Paul Skeens, but he's not going to pitch the whole series. So
No, he could have hit. He could hit. People forget he was a 2-way.
yeah, no, still not buying that.
Right.
But AAA team could definitely. I don't know if they'd win the series, but
They'd get a game.
they'd get a game. I mean,
It's just
you
I
come to
don't.
Frontier Field,
I
game
don't-
3.
Yeah, I don't think. And this goes back to like the Browns and even I guess like say like the Pistons this past year with basketball. I don't think I've seen a professional team just be this woefully bad as the White Sox in their respective sport. Like, they are genuinely like broken. Their best hitter is would be like the worst hitter on like a lot of teams.
Worse than the Pistons.
I think they're worse than the like if you were to I will say this at least. I know like maybe percentage wise it might work out to where the White Sox were better than the Pistons, but like the Pistons weren't like the Pistons were going out there and they were still playing like competitive ball a lot of nights. Like there have been nights where you turn on, it's like the White Sox are just like not even like in it. Like it's a broken team. It's a broken franchise, which I know that portion of it's a really completely different discussion for a different podcast. Like we've known that for years now that this is a broken franchise. But like it is just like it's a wonder to watch. I can't tell you how bad I wanted MLB Network to have that game on last night instead of Phillies and Dodgers, right? Like an actual, like in theory, good game, and I wanted the one that was just going to be the shit show, like because of just how bad it is.
It's infamous, but it's history still. You know, to see a losing streak like that. I mean, all streaks got to come to an end eventually. It's like I think back in the day when the Lions lost every game. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were tuning in for that game. What was it, week 17? They lost their 16th straight game, 0-16. A lot of people were probably pulling for the Lions that day.
Yeah.
And it probably wasn't even that great of a game. I can't even remember who they played, but just the idea of
No idea.
losing attracts fans as well.
Yeah.
Historic losing.
I mean, excuse me, it's not the right type of fan you want around, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I think Chicago was going nuts last night. White Sox
yeah.
fans
Yeah.
getting that win, getting back in the win column,
Well,
celebrating.
yes and no. I know a couple out there that I know who are just like they kind of just want them to be just so bad at this point that
Is the manager getting fired?
yeah, it was a bad hire in the first place. I mean, since they fired Rick Renneria, like the back-to-back hirings of LaRussa to Grifoil have just been like, what are we doing? Like, I mean, hell, you could make the case of going back to even freaking when they fired Ozzy, even though they had to fire Ozzy Guillen at that point.
How's Ozzie Guillen and Frank Thomas doing on the post-game show?
I don't know about last night, but I know the night before they were ready to just pretty much go on a Rambo style spree if they had to. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. God bless baseball, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going down as could have. I was hoping they'd tie the Phillies.
I want them to break the record, the Cleveland Spider record.
24. They played the Yankees next week too. That would have been
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Oh well, that's that. So that's pretty much it for the podcast this week. Mention next week we're all. What's that? Doing like the clapper? You think the lights were going to turn off? Off next week. I guess when we come back the week after, I'll give a review. I'm going to Michigan for the first time for the only the Cup race, doing Cup race only. But I guess we'll do a venue review.
Going to
when I come
Michigan?
back. Yeah.
What part of Michigan?
They always call it outside of Detroit, but it's not. It's in like the southeast corner of the
Oh, you going through Canada to get there?
No, I'm going to Cleveland the night before. Staying the night with Nick and Maggie. They're coming too. We have a little group going up. It'll be fun. So
Nice.
yeah,
Have fun.
appreciate it. I'll see you enough before then anyway.
It's 2 weeks, right?
Correct. Next weekend.
Yes.
So 10 days.
Nice.
Um.
Yeah. What am I shouting out?
Yeah. Fine. Take your own question out of my mouth.
I'm shouting out your brother Bat.
Huh, that's true.
It's his birthday this weekend.
29.
Sunday, right?
Yep.
He's turning
Yeah,
29.
that's the 11th, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's actually turning 29.
Yep.
As everyone else is on the show.
Happy 29th birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Pat. Shout out. Miss you on the show. Maybe someday he'll come back.
Yeah. His work schedule now allows for him to come back. I'm really tired. I need to go get that friggin' Celsius I got ready to go for me. But
Yeah, I have told him that. It's like, come here and then go to work.
yeah, his schedule works out now.
Stay tuned.
He could definitely come on. We need to get him on for fantasy, I think.
Yes.
So, we'll work on that. It's a tease. It's been a while since we actually have had somebody be able to come on in and everything. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, that'll do it officially, I suppose. So like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Enjoy the next couple weeks, everybody. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Closer an inch into football. We'll probably be getting, like I said, I think we'll probably be in the beginning stages of previewing football stuff at that point. So, look forward to that. Nick, we'll see you. Well, I'll see you tomorrow anyway. The other people won't see you, though, until next time. So enjoy, everybody. We'll talk with everybody later.